lost.
Yeah, I mean, I've read that there were some reports that you're right. That's why I got the feeling that many people on the march were unhappy that the police had blocked so much of the road, actually, and caused this obstruction, which seemed unnecessary, I think.
It is unnecessary.
And so on. And just going back to what you were saying earlier, and certainly it seems that there was some debate or disagreement amongst the activists themselves, and certainly, some of the media are talking about this younger generation of the sort of the 1980s, the 1980s generation of Chinese activists, who are, some of them are, the media are saying, were pushing forward and wanted to push forward a bit more and so on. I mean, how do you see that in terms of, and it seemed, am I right in saying that the leaders of the League of Social Democrats, they were basically they weren't particularly happy that these younger, very young activists had perhaps pushed through without sort of discussing it beforehand and sort of planning it and doing it in a more sort of controlled way. Did you get that feeling that there was perhaps too much disagreement and so on? It could have been better if there had been a sort of a plan beforehand and people had stuck to it and it was done in a more united way, whatever action was taken. Do you see what I mean?
What I observed of those young guys, like 80s, one of their characteristics is they do not have a leader. Okay, they all have I must say like a central hive mind thing, mindset. Okay, they do not have one or two responsible leaders which step up and say, I'm the leader and I'm asking you guys do this. So that causes to kind of different organizations with other political parties. Okay, include LSD. Okay, they do not agree to other parties, including LSD, is because they do not believe in such kind of leadership. What they have is a they think of some idea and then just go, just do it. Okay, they do not have maybe they do have planning, but do not have a very detailed planning. Okay, maybe just like a rough idea. Everybody agree with it. Okay, then let's go. Okay, unlike other political parties. So what I can observe is LSD. They do not condemn these people's actions. But at that time, okay, it was kind of destroy the plan a little bit.
Because obviously the media, the way they portray it, they're kind of, the independent observers, if you like. Yeah. The media, they will immediately seize on any kind of violent or aggressive activity, you see. And constantly in politics, the media will be watching who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, and are the police behaving, are they, doing anything they shouldn't be doing or anything unlawful? And what about the activists? Is there any violence and so on? There's the problem is that the media will immediately, especially in Hong Kong, which is very, very sensitive, even to any remote, even little pushing and so on. It's going to be portrayed negatively by the majority of the media. And the idea of the democracy movement should be to think of ways, in a clever way, to make the government and the police look bad rather than the activists. So obviously there is an observer can see that with a bit more planning, a bit more thought, the movement has to think of ways to sort of, in a united way, do it, in terms of image, much more peacefully, I think. I can see that there might be a problem on the horizon, as these activists, younger activists are joining protests and so on, and once they get into it, they in the spur of the moment and the emotion, they can lose control a bit. But it's not easy for long hair and Raymond Wong and Albert Chan. It's not easy for them to quite know how to talk to them, these younger activists, and get them to realise what's happening.
As I said, it is because of the young guys. They do not believe in the authorities. They believe in what they think within themselves. So, as I said before, they don't believe in leadership. So what they are acting is, well, outside people they have positive comments and negative comments to those people. Positive comment is they have the fire in their heart, which nowadays the people should have, about to against the government of China. The negative way is the lack of planning. They act like rogues or well, I can't say too radicals. Rogue is much more better word for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think, on the positive side, there needs to be more fire. I think there needs to be more passion. One of the problems that, that Hong Kong has been so slow is that there's not been people who are willing to step forward, make sacrifices and physically take action. But it's a way of doing it in a much more sort of slower, controlled manner, actually, and in a unified way, which I really feel that if there were more meetings beforehand and everyone who was going to go to a protest understood exactly what was going to happen, and as you know, I'm a big fan of civil disobedience and think there's an important role to play, but it's just a matter of quite how to do it in a controlled and organised way, so it looks peaceful and it looks controlled and it looks strong. If you get a group of people doing it together, whatever it is, it looks more powerful, and it will be more powerful. Constantly, in democracy movements, I think in different countries, there's this debate, isn't it, about the style of protests and civil disobedience and so on. And I think there just needs to be a lot more discussion and debate beforehand, so that everyone can sort of agree and so on. Because obviously Hong Kong's got to look ways to find what I would call effective non-violent civil disobedience, rather than ineffective civil disobedience, and so on. Because it's possible at a protest to make a lot of noise without it being that effective, and you've got to. Whereas on the other hand, you can make no noise, but can be quite effective in some ways. As for example, the South Korean farmers, some of their protests, they were very quiet, they were very orderly, but it was in a funny kind of way, they were quite strong demonstrations. But obviously they, had meetings and many meetings beforehand,